You know what they say, Yosao, you only study abroad once.
Hey there, my five faithful listeners, and anyone who randomly stumbled upon this episode. My name is Lydia, and this is the Lydia Todd Pod. It's probably not a good idea to start a podcast because your last name rhymes with pod. But I'm here anyways. From spontaneous trips to special guests to deep spiritual conversations and everything in between, expect inspiration, stories, and plenty of laughter. Grab a glass of milk, settle in, and let's dive into the episode.
Welcome back to the Lydia Todd Pod. I'm so excited to have you here today. For the five faithful listeners out there, thank you. You've almost gotten me to 1,000 downloads, and so I'm super, super thankful for all of you who have taken time out of your day to listen to one episode, or all 16 now. So thank you guys so much for your support. It's really been so much fun to learn how to do this, and I think soon I'm going to do a content creation video on how to start a podcast, but just going through this learning process and you guys bearing with me with messing up with video and audio and just having fun figuring out how this thing works has been quite a journey, and you have bared with me for a few months now, and I just wanted to express my gratitude for that. Before I get into today's topic, I just wanted to share this story of something that happened while my bestie Haley Hofstetter was visiting me this past week. There's this nice Indian restaurant called Dishoom in London, and it's a chain. And so we were going because Haley really likes Indian food, and I had been once before. Now, keep in mind, the time I went before, I did not pay. It was a meal that was paid for by someone else, and I was very thankful. But it's kind of pricey. I'm trying to think of a at-home equivalent, maybe Texas de Brazil. I mean, it's like a nice steakhouse kind of price. We went to this place, Dishoom, and I ordered a passion fruit charbat, I think is what it's called. And whenever I ordered it, the waiter brought more people to come sit at the table next to us, and there was barely any space in between us and the next table. And so the guy that's squeezing in to like go sit at his table accidentally knocks my drink over onto me. So my lap is now covered in passion fruit juice, and I'm sitting there holding my non bread with a bunch of like chicken ruby in it, and I'm just like, what do I do? And my whole lap was wet. And I wasn't upset because it was totally an accident. But the guy's like, oh, I'm so, so sorry. What drink did you have? I'll order you another one. And I thought that was really, really, really considerate of him. And I was like, thank you so much. And I didn't make a big deal of it. And actually, when the waiter came, he told the waiter to put our entire bill on his bill. He paid for our whole meal. We were like, what? You do not have to do that. He was like, no, I feel so bad. Please. I was like, this man is so nice. So shout out to the guy I think he's from Leicester, but he was so nice. So want to give a shout out to that guy who runs Halloween events from Leicester. He really made my day better after spilling my drink on me. It was really funny though, and we had a good laugh about it. In 2021, I studied abroad with Friedhartman University, and it was the best semester. Well, all of my semesters were really good because I really, really loved the people and the atmosphere and the classes and everything at Friedhartman. But you just don't get to go to 12 countries in 3 months with an amazing group of people more than once in your life. Usually that's like a once in a lifetime experience. And so it was so, so good for me. I learned so much while traveling abroad. One thing that I really learned was how to travel frugally. I did not have a lot of money and I didn't want to spend a lot of money. I was one of those kids who worked really hard to get good grades and be involved in high school so that I could get scholarships. And so my university was paid for by scholarship. It was the Honors College Scholarship or scholarships from Girl Scouts and 4-H and other things I was involved in. I worked every semester that I was in university, but I used that money to pay for things like eating out and books and things like study abroad. I actually saved so much money while I was studying abroad compared to other people who, I guess, if you have more money and you want to spend more money, go for it. I didn't want to have no money when I came back. And so I worked really hard that summer and made money that summer. And then I worked really hard during my semester abroad to spend as little as possible while still enjoying it to the fullest. I didn't ever not spend money because just because of like a money issue, if it was going to mean I wasn't going to be able to do something. But still, if there was a cheaper alternative or like something that I would have to put a little more effort into to make it work, but have it cost less, then I chose that option. I just wanted to share with you guys how I saved money while I studied abroad so that if you're going to study abroad soon, or even if you're just traveling abroad and you want some tips because you're going on a longer trip on how you can save money, I'll just share what I did to save money. Before I get into how I did it, I'm just going to give the cost breakdown. Our tuition that semester was $16,500, which is very similar to the normal semester. I wasn't paying a ton more to go on this experience. I budgeted $500 per week of free travel. We have scheduled class days throughout the semester, and then we have scheduled group travel. But then 3 weeks of the semester abroad, we get to go wherever we want. We can plan it, but it's on us. We have to plan the lodging and the transportation and the food and everything. I budgeted $500 per week for that to include flights and food and all the fun stuff that I wanted to do and wherever I wanted to go. I ended up staying within that budget for the 3 weeks. I probably spent around 500 or 600 on souvenirs and things that I bought ahead of time for study abroad, like my hiking boots or different shirts that would match everything that I was bringing, so I didn't have to bring a bunch of clothes. All total, the semester, I spent 18,500 for 3 months, 12 countries, and a semester of schooling. And that averages to about 6,200 a month, which seems like a lot, but most people, whenever they're talking about their monthly living expenses, don't include their tuition. And that includes everything, my schooling and everything. If you take out the tuition, I spent about $2,000, which would be, I can't math right now, but 2,000 divided by 3, whatever that is per month, which is very, very, very inexpensive. Here's how I did it. First, where did my money come from? Most of it came from my summer job that I had before studying abroad, and it came from the job that I had while I studied abroad. Whenever we study abroad at Freedom University, there's an RA because there's RAs at the university. And so the RA's job is just to like turn the lights off at the end of the night to make sure that everyone is accounted for when we're out traveling, like people all make it in safely. And so that was my job. And it was really nice because I just stayed up and did my homework that I was supposed to be doing anyways and got paid for it. So that is how I had an income while I was abroad, which made me not be worried like, oh, I'm not sure if I can fork up 10 pounds or not 10 pounds. Haha, you might notice that I'm now talking in British terms. No, if it costs 10 euros, then I wasn't going to be like, oh, I can't afford that if that's in my budget because I had an extra income while I was there. Not everyone is going to be able to get an RA job while they study abroad. So, what are some practical ways that you can save money that I did just aside from income? I would say the biggest expense that I cut off from my study abroad experience was phone plan. I did not have a phone plan while I was abroad. With Verizon, you can do a $5 a day plan when you're internationally traveling, where you pay your normal plan plus $5 extra every day that you activate your plan, and you get the same exact plan abroad, same data, same calls and texts. I had that activated in case of emergency. So if I ever turned my phone off airplane mode, if I ever turned cellular data on, then it would have charged me $10 that day. I might have just said $5. It's 10. That was a mistake. $10 a day. You might be wondering, how did I get around Europe without a phone plan? Well, it's not a third world country. None of them that I went to are. And so they have Wi Fi. And everywhere I went, I could find a McDonald's or a Starbucks that had free Wi Fi. And if I ever needed to contact someone, if I was in an emergency, if I didn't know what train to get on, I could just go to the nearest McDonald's or Starbucks or any store that had Wi Fi. And so many did. And look it up and figure out how to get there, or I could message someone or call someone. I didn't need a cellular plan. And it helped me to stay off my phone unless I needed to be on it for directions or something or taking pictures. It really made my experience better. So I would definitely suggest not having a phone plan. Some questions may be arising, such as how do you get around? Like, how do you find out where you're going? Google Maps was such a blessing to my trip because on Google Maps, you can search a city. So if we were going to Paris, I would search Paris. You click on the city and then you scroll over on the options where it says stuff like save and everything. You scroll over and you click on download. You can download maps offline for use. So I would download the city where we were going before. This requires intentional prep work, but it's not that hard. Just the night before we were going somewhere, I would download the map. And then every time you open the app, it re-updates the maps you have downloaded. I would download the city map for wherever we're going. And if you download the map, it downloads the streets, it downloads the restaurants, the places. So I could even search McDonald's and it would show me one that was near me. The only thing that it doesn't do is if you're offline using a map, you can't actually get directions to it. So I would find the place on the map and I would see the blue dot of where I was on the map and I would just say, okay, we can just follow these streets. It's like following a maze map. So you just have to be aware of the roads that you can walk on and sidewalks and stuff, but everything in Europe is walkable, so it wasn't really a problem. There were a couple times where I probably could have saved 2 minutes, 5 minutes, because maybe the route that I took there wasn't the exact fastest route. But overall, it was really easy to use downloaded offline Google Maps. I'm really excited because Apple Maps just got downloadable offline maps. Apple Maps did not have that when I studied abroad, so I'm excited to try it out and see if it's as good as Google Maps version was. If it is, I'll probably switch because whenever I drive, I use Apple Maps, so it would be nice to have all of it on one. I kid you not, I would just be walking down the street in Milan or something, and if I needed Wi-Fi in that moment, say I'm trying to look up a place to eat later, or like what's the coolest thing to do in my free time in Milan, I would just be on my phone going to the Wi-Fi setting, and every 10 feet a new free Wi-Fi would pop up because almost all the stores in the EU had free Wi-Fi. Places like H&M, places like random coffee shops, they all have free Wi-Fi. So use it. To make that work, you also need to invest in a portable charger, or 2 or 3. I brought 2 portable chargers with me while I studied abroad, and I made sure that they were always charged before we went anywhere. That way, since I don't have a phone plan, or I was trying not to use a phone plan, so even if I was in a time crunch or something, I would try not to turn on my emergency phone plan. I would try to work through the emergency without using that. If something really bad happened, then I would have turned it on, but I never had to turn it on, even when there were times where me and my friends were lost and we were like, we don't know where we're going. So we just backtracked to the last McDonald's and got on the Wi-Fi and figured it out. It was really fine. If your phone dies, then you're really out of luck. So make sure that you have a portable charger and charging cords and stuff with you and adapters and stuff with you at all times so that you don't run out of phone battery. Another way that I saved money studying abroad was asking family and friends before I went if they would, in advance, give me birthday Christmas gifts in the form of cash that I could spend abroad. That helped me save money because I wasn't having to use all of the money I had made that summer. Honestly, those were some of the best gifts because they were able to fund me getting like a souvenir in Ireland, which is so great. And that's stuff that I really wanted. So they really gave me some wonderful gifts that year. And so if you have friends or family who normally give you gifts, for instance, my birthday was right before I went abroad, like a week before I went abroad. So if it's coming up, just put that on your list. Like, hey guys, this is actually what I want for my birthday or for Christmas. Another way that you can save while you're abroad is free travel planning, making it super frugal. So, how it works, and it's going to work differently with every study abroad program, but how it works with the free travel program is for free travel, you have to go with at least a group of three, and you can go anywhere in the EU, but you just have to like plan out your itinerary and stuff and get it approved so that they know where you're going and stuff so they can make sure it's safe and that you have everything planned out. You're not winging it and sleeping on the streets in Croatia for a week. If you plan to spend less money, it's good to plan to go with frugal people, people who also don't want to spend a lot of money. My first week of free travel, me and five others, I think, went to Ireland. And while we were there, we all were under the impression like we do not want to break $500 for our budget of this week. I think our round trip flights from Brussels were like $60. We did miss that flight and had to buy a new flight, but that's a story for another day. We paid like $60 for the flights. Then we paid, I want to say like 150 for the whole week of hostels and stuff after we split up all the cost. And then food, we were able to eat really cheap. So we didn't spend that much money on food. And then the things that we really wanted to do, such as renting bikes and biking in Killarney, are going to Blarney Castle, are going and seeing something for fun in Galway. The things that we wanted to do for fun, we budgeted ahead of time. We made sure that we got the student discounts. And oh, that's another thing. Student discounts, use them. If you're studying abroad, make sure you always have your student ID with you and always ask if they have a student discount because a lot of times in the EU they do. So it's really, really nice if you're a student. Back to planning free travel. If you plan ahead of time and you book your flights and your hostels and stuff ahead of time, you're not going to go way over budget because most of the money that you're going to spend while you're traveling has already been spent and you already know what it is, so you can be intentional about how you spend the rest of your money. If you're going to buy an expensive meal versus a cheap meal. So you need to book your flights and your lodging as early as possible. As soon as you know the dates that you're going to be gone, be looking for flights and stuff. Another thing is be okay with packing light and using budget flights. Pretty sure we used Ryanair so many times. We use Ryanair, Wizz Air, Aegean Air. I mean, some really cheap budget flights. It saved us lots of money, you know, when you're flying for $15, 15 US dollars, guys, 15 US dollars. I don't think a lot of my friends in America understand, but like we don't really have budget airlines. I mean, we have Spirit, but even Spirit, I'm paying like $100, $200 to go to California from Tennessee. But here, I'm flying from Ireland to Greece and it's $20. Yeah, this is actual budget airlines and it's super nice. So be willing to fly cheap, even if it means you have no leg room. Your flight's not going to be longer than 2 hours probably, so it's okay. Just be fine with it. And try not to pay for a carry-on and stuff. Like just pack in your personal item. Or if you do bring a carry-on, get a bag that fits the biggest size dimensions for what you can bring and pack it lightly, pack it intentionally with clothes and stuff that won't go over the weight limit so that you don't have to spend any more money than you already have. Another thing is to eat cheap. So, on average, one meal a day eating really cheap is going to save you so much money. You can eat out, and obviously, when you're abroad, you're going to want to try new foods. You're going to want to explore these different restaurants that are really famous or that you've seen on TikTok or something that you really want to try. So, do that, but then for your lunch where you're just trying to grab something quick anyways because you're trying to get to a museum, you're trying to go do something, what we would do is we would go to the cheapest grocery store we could find. So Little or Co-op or, well, actually, I don't even know if that's called Co-op or Coop. Who knows? But there's so many different cheap groceries in Europe that you can go to. Go to the grocery store and buy bread, cheese, and chicken or ham or some kind of meat. So just buy either rolls, loaves of bread. I think me and my friends would buy croissants or other nicer breads in the bakery. And then we would buy a package of cheese that we all would share and a package of meat. And our meal was probably $2, $3 max. And we would drink water from the free water fountains that are scattered all around Europe. There's different apps you can download if you want to find those. Our study abroad leader, our professor, knew where all of the water fountains and stuff were. So whenever she was taking us to different places when we would travel, she would be like, hey guys, here's a free water fountain. And we would know where they are in the city. So whenever we got thirsty, we could just fill them up for free. So there's free water. You can eat really, really cheap meal. So if I'm only spending $3 for lunch, then I can spend something like $15 or $20 for dinner, and it isn't going to cost as much overall for food. Be intentional about your food and how you're eating out and how you're saving money in your meals. Another thing that will help you so much is planning your souvenirs out in advance. This helps not only with saving money, but also helping you not have regrets. In the moment, you might be tempted to buy something just because it's right in front of you and you're like, oh, I didn't get a souvenir yet from this place. This looks really cute. And then you're going to go back and you're like, why did I buy a hammer from Switzerland? Like, I don't know, something really random. And you're like, what was I thinking? If you plan out your souvenirs ahead of time, like, I know I really want this. I want one of these from every country. Ahead of time, I knew that I wanted a deck of cards from every country that had the country's name on it. I knew I wanted a postcard from every country to make a collage on my wall. I knew that I wanted certain gifts for certain people to bring back home from certain countries. I wanted a tie for my papa from Greece. I knew I wanted to get a knife for my dad and brother from Switzerland. So there's just different things that I knew I wanted ahead of time. And I had a note in my notes app that said all the things that I needed to buy. So every time I went to a country, on the first day, I would analyze like what day do I have free time or when do I think would be the best time to get these souvenirs so I didn't miss out and skip it, because if you're only in a country for a couple days, then you have to be really intentional if you're going to get your souvenirs, but you also don't want to spend all day souvenir shopping. You want to do the other things that are fun. Souvenir grabbing should be something that you do on the way to something, not the whole event. But if you're intentional about which souvenirs you want ahead of time, then you're not going to be spending a bunch of random money on things that you didn't even really need or want. I also saved money studying abroad by using connections. I'm super grateful for my friend Bree, her connection in Ireland, her cousin. I believe that it's cousins. It's either cousins or uncle or second cousin, third cousin, something like that. But Bree, whenever we went to Ireland, she was like, hey, I have family in Galway, so we could stay with them. So we contacted them. They were so generous. They let all 6 of us stay in their house. Their kids stayed, I think, with them in their bed. And then we had some like air mattress kind of things or sleeping bags on the floor. It doesn't matter. A free floor bed is better than a really expensive hotel bed. So it was so much fun to get to meet them and stay with them. And we saved so much money not having to buy another hostel or hotel. So if you have connections, or if your friends have connections, or if friends of friends have connections, use them. I also reached out to the Christians in Athens, and it just so happened that the wife of one of the preachers there was going to be in Santorini the same time that we were in Santorini. So we got to meet up with her in Santorini, and we even went out. Well, we didn't go out to eat with her, but she invited us over. She made us coffee. We got to hang out with her. We had this free event moment, excursion, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we got to go inside of a house in Santorini. That was just because of a connection, and we didn't have to spend any money for that, whereas some people would be spending money to go to do something or pay for an event. There are very kind people in this world who if you know them, maybe they'll take you out to eat, or maybe they'll be able to direct you to the cheapest options in town. If they live there, then they're going to know where you should stay, what you should do, where you should eat. So definitely use all of your connections to save money, but also just have a really great, unique experience abroad. Ultimately, saving money is just going to be you choosing to prepare and plan ahead of time, to be intentional, and to find like minded people who are going to help you in your frugality. If you do those things, then you're definitely going to save some money, even if you save a little less than me or even more. It's okay because every study abroad experience will be different. Inflation and stuff, it's going to cost differently for every person who goes abroad. But at the end of the day, if you've enjoyed your experience, it's probably going to be worth every penny you spent. You know what they say, yo sao, you only study abroad once. They don't say that, and I don't know who they is, but I said it, so it's a thing now. If you are studying abroad, I would love to hear about your plans for your travels, where you're studying abroad, and what you're going to do, what you want to do. If you have any more questions about saving money abroad or any specific things about study abroad, it's a passion of mine to talk about, so please reach out, and I'm so excited for you to go on that experience. If you're not studying abroad, but you're just going on a vacation and you want to save some money, then enjoy your trip, and I hope you have a great time. I'm going to make an episode in the future on saving money just while vacationing or going on trips, because that's a little different than study abroad, where you have organized events where you're already paying a university or institution for half your lodging, for half your meals, and a lot of things are already planned for you and organized in such a way that you don't have all the freedom over everything that's happening. But whenever you vacation, you do all of the planning, all of the scheduling. So there's even more ways that you can save money. And I will talk about that in a later episode. Have a terrific Wednesday. If you learned anything, or if you know someone who's studying abroad, go ahead and send them this episode. Maybe it will help them to save some money while they're abroad. As we wrap up this episode of the Lydia Todd Pod, I want to express my heartfelt gratitude for you spending time with me. This really challenges my belief that I only have 5 consistent listeners. If you have any thoughts, topics, or questions you'd like me to explore further on future episodes, please reach out on one of my socials. I hope that our conversations have brought you inspiration and joy. If you have friends or family who might be interested in our conversations, don't hesitate to share the podcast with them.